I have no idea what happened there. Am I on mute? No, I'm not. Hello and good evening and welcome to let me get my teeth in and start this properly. Do anyone think I was a professional? I'm not. Good evening and welcome to THFC Till I Die, your home of Tottenham, past, present, and an exciting future under Ange Postecoglou as he takes us like Moses took the people all them years ago across the blue sea to the promised land where there was milk and honey and trophies galore. That is what Ange is doing to us, and we're following him in his footsteps. As Tequila's there with one of the tablets, Column's there with the other tablet, and Boris, the best patron member this world has ever seen, is carrying all the trophies, and I'm just like Moses. I'm with Ange. I'm following him. Good evening and welcome to the best podcast around. It is the Cockerel Clock podcast, your number one podcast for all things Tottenham and football talk. Joining me tonight, of course, are my usual co-host, Tequila, also Column as well, part of our channel, one of our channel members as well, one of the founding members of THFC Till I Die, Column, and also making his debut tonight on THFC Till I Die. It's our Patreon member, Boris. So, Boris, I'm going to start with you. How are you this evening, Boris? And welcome to YouTube and welcome to THFC Till I Die.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Again, like you said, you were going to, but thanks again for having me. It's great to be here with you guys, with Colm, with Tequila, with yourself. Unfortunately, not with the with Tom Jones of Ireland, but we'll move on from that at the time being. Never know, I might get to talk to him one time again. Who knows? But yeah, it's enjoyable.
Yeah, he'll be on next week. And if you do become a Patreon member, the link's in the description. Like Boris, you get to come on these podcasts. And also, you get to come on the fan shows after every Premier League game we're doing this season and Europa League games as well. Hit the link for the Discord, hit the link for the Patreon, and that's how you get in. Tequila, how are you, sir? My mocker, my left lieutenant in this little army of ours. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm okay, Dermot. You've been watching too many Charlton Heston films, bruv. Way too many Charlton Heston films, like Ben-Hur and everything. You know those 4-hour films they used to put on? Yeah, I remember them.
No, nothing wrong with Ben-Hur. I mean, I got caught once.
No, it was good. It just never ended. It's just like the first Lord of the Rings film. It just had like 20 endings.
Yeah, it's a bit like going watching Dancing with Wolves. That film never ended either.
That put me to sleep in the cinema. The only film that ever put me to sleep in a cinema. Yeah.
And Colin, everyone, please send your best wishes to Colin. He's joining us from his sick bed. He's not very well at the moment, but he's made an effort to come on tonight. And Colin, how are you?
Yeah. Apart from obviously being a bit in the wars at the moment, I'm doing fine, thank you.
Yeah. Let's see now who's in the chat, and we're going to crack on. There's got a few good topics tonight, by the way, guys. It's really going to be a good podcast. Killian Kenny, I'm down to join. Well, you know what to do. Hit that link, hit that Patreon. You get to come on here. Back of the net, big up Back of the net. Great to see you again. He says, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Back of the net. We've got Stephen Cartwright. Good evening to all. Hope you're all well. Who do you think will sign next? It's coming. We have Milton. Right, I don't want to get his surname wrong here. Milton.
Here we go, Dermo. Give it a go. Or you, bruv. Or you. Come on.
Milton No Burger.
Brega. Is it no Brega?
No Burger. Milton. I'm just going to call him Milton.
Yeah.
Dermo's mind some food, as we can tell. I should have been the burger again just to make it proper.
Well, look, I do you know what? Dyslexics a bitch, but never mind. Good evening, everyone. It's 6:09 a.m. Saturday morning here in sunny Australia. Hope everyone is well. Smash the like button. Milton, thank you so much. And I tell you one thing, he looks very dapper.
He does, doesn't he?
In his suit there, he looks very dapper.
You see me? I'm still in my underwear, dude.
I'm not going to say what I'm wearing.
Just a smile, just a smile, Con. That's all you're wearing, mate.
I don't think nobody wants to know what you're wearing. And anyone on Spotify where this is going up on that and Amazon Music afterwards, I do apologise. Do what Tequila says down there. It's a link. Big up to Louis June Music. Big up, hey guys. Big up, Lou. How you doing? Christopher Intro. Last word on Spurs. 12 minutes just in. He says Tottenham have now entered into talks with Lille over the signing of striker Jonathan David. I've sent that to my source. I'm waiting for an update. Last word on Spurs, very credible, but I always like to double check with my source as well. And Gerard, big up. Of course, it's the All Ireland final on Sunday in Gaelic football. Armagh or Galway? Well, I've got to go for Armagh because my mother's from Armagh, so I have to support Armagh. But my two sons, they're from Galway, so I'm split down the middle. But I think I'd go in Armagh. Just quickly, Boris, I'll start with you on this. Tottenham this season, what are you hoping to see different from last season? What's the main thing you want to see different from last season when we kick off in 3 weeks' time?
I'd say mainly just like the same start of the season, but hoping that we can actually continue that sort of progress of what we were last season, because like we were 10 games undefeated before we ended up starting. Our form started to dip off against Chelsea, the main block, what ended up having our downfall being at that point. So I'd say if we can just carry on that sort of building blocks, like start on using that and start on getting a good campaign into Europe as well to make sure that we secure automatic qualification to the next round and not have to go through knockouts. Yeah. Well, yes, true. It is going to be an interesting season. We are going to get into it, but I've just, it was interesting to see what you think. And you're always in the chat, Boris, with really intelligent conversations, and some of the questions you bring do spark stuff between myself, Colin, even Philip. You do bring in good conversations in the chat, so it's great to have you on. What we're going to start on in this, guys, is we saw this a little bit. Let me get rid of the Wraith energy. I will bring back Wraith. No disrespect, Wraith. There you go. The Kilo was on to me this morning, and he said he heard about, I think it was a couple of months ago before the mayor got re-elected, it was on about bringing American sports to England, but he's also now talking about bringing the Premier League to America. And so I don't know who wants to. I'm going to kick off with Boris in this one, but I don't go to you, lads. We'll open up to the floor. But the Premier League games in the US and the Middle East. So, firstly, what's your thoughts on it, Boris? And secondly, how might FIFA and UEFA respond to the Premier League's plans to play games internationally? How do you think they're going to come up with? What would they say? I think they'd be against it anyways, and like most clubs are probably going to be against it anyways, unless they get huge incentives by the Premier League, like the lower teams, especially if they get huge incentives, like an extra couple, like 100,000 or something like that each time. Sorry, yeah. We just want to make sure that they get that, because otherwise they're going to start. Because Premier League teams are already complaining more about over congestion of matches, aren't they? So we're going to see that more and more, especially with this, and like we're seeing it with like the friendlies and stuff like that. We're seeing people take the mick out of teams going to America and so on, and then like their managers complain about over congestion of matches. So at that end of the day, it's a double-edged sword. So they're going to have to lay in it at that point in time, because otherwise they're going to look like hypocrites for actually wanting to go over to America and Saudi Arabia and play these games while they're complaining about the amount of matches that players are having to play.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, I don't agree with this at all. I don't think it should happen. I think it's okay for pre-season friendlies and probably before the season starts. I'm all up for that. But not during the season. I mean, Tequila, we could get Tottenham versus Arsenal, right? A big North London derby being played in Miami. I mean, it would take away everything what the North London derby is about, isn't it? And
I wouldn't mind going to Miami.
Are you in favour of this then?
I understand why they're doing it. I just don't understand how rules wise they're going to fix it. I was trying to say this to you earlier, Dermo. I don't know how to do it, because whoever the home team was meant to be in that fixture, right, is going to lose out, as in footballing wise, because being at home is meant to be an advantage, right? That's meant to be an advantage for the home team to have the home support. So the team who was meant to be at home, we'll use your let's say Spurs versus Arsenal. Let's say Spurs are at home. If that fixture was changed to Miami, then footballing wise, Spurs would lose the advantage of being the home team. You understand?
Yeah,
so
I do understand.
So which fixtures would they choose? Would they say that every single team has to forfeit one home game to be played in America? And what fixtures would be chosen? Would it be at random, or would somebody get to choose? Would the home team get to choose which one of their fixtures is moved?
No, it wouldn't be that. Look, I'm totally against this, Tequila. I really am. I think it's not football, and I think it's ridiculous having the traipse around halfway to play a Premier League game halfway around the world. To answer your question, it would be the big games, really. Like it'd be Liverpool, Everton, it'd be Tottenham, Arsenal. It would be the big Liverpool, Man City derby. It would be Manchester United, Liverpool. So it'd be all the massive games. All the massive games in the Premier League. Colin, where are you on this? Are you for it? I mean, look. How would the Premier League address potential opposition from clubs, players, and fans regarding this? Because there will be opposition to this. I think the Mayor of London just needs to keep his nose out of our game and just concentrate on what he's supposed to do, being the mayor for London, instead of trying to get involved. Well, let's take, say, Manchester United, Man City to God knows to the Middle East. I mean, how would you feel as a fan? But how could the Premier League address potential opposition from this?
It'd be very difficult to, subdue any kind of opposition to this. Now, we need to remember that they have already tried this, but with La Liga. They tried to hold a match between Barcelona and Genoa, Genoa, whoever it was, in Miami back in 2019, which was cancelled, and then obviously FIFA was sued due to it. So it's very difficult. I know La Liga are pushing again to play most of their games overseas in America as well. But yeah, I mean, there's too many hurdles for it to actually happen. Surely, you got to consider all the fairness on the fans, like you're saying, the balance and between home and away fixtures, supporting fairness to the fans, clashes with fixture schedules, impacts on the leagues. Issues of players and fan welfare, safety. There's so much they need to actually consider. And I think it's an absolute mockery to the league to take some of the biggest games, or maybe not, maybe they won't take, massive games. Obviously, they're going to want the Tottenham Arsenals, the Manchester derbies. They're going to want all that. But, I mean, we've seen what fans can do when they all collaborate together, when they really want something changed. And if they started taking, you know, for instance, Arsenal, Spurs away from you guys who have paid money, you know, to go to White Hart Lane or Emirates Stadium or wherever it's held, and you found out it's being held in somewhere in Miami. Imagine the uproar. You know, you've paid for a season ticket. Are the FA going to pay for your flights and accommodation to go over there and watch that game? Because you've already paid for that game. No, they won't. So there's going to be a massive, massive uproar. And it also, I think if they try and push ahead with it and don't consider all the factors and don't try and appease, obviously, the UK support, because it's English football, you know, this is where all the fans pretty much are and go and watch. I know there are people that travel from all around the world to come and watch, but there's going to be massive lawsuits against them.
Yeah.
Com, here's a question for you quickly. What about if they added a 39th match and every team had a 39th match and it had to be done abroad?
No,
but it was randomly chosen, so the matches were randomly chosen.
No, we've got what is it, 9 out of 9 teams from the Premier League over there right now for pre-season. There you go. There's your matches, and they're not small matches either. You know, I mean, Man United are playing Liverpool and Arsenal over there, so
yeah, but they're still classed as friendlies, though, aren't they? That's the only issue. They're not getting the full back.
But let's be honest, Tequila. Even if they had a 39th match, the league's going to be pretty much done with by that point. You know, you're not going to know who a winner is, so it's going to be a friendly anyway.
Yeah, but if they did it, when I mean 39th match, like they did it, I don't know, like halfway through the year, like I don't know, if they restructured the league a little bit, so they got rid of the Christmas congestion and had like one match in early January or something for everybody. Do you know what I mean? In America.
I mean, Boris, where are you on this? I mean, I take it. Just for Boris, before we get to you, I take it just a yes on this, Tequila. I take you're in favour of this.
I can understand why it's become a global game, and if you're an American fan and you're not a rich American fan, so you can't afford to come over, then I can understand. But that being said, America's obviously a very big place, so wherever they put the match, if you're an American fan in the South of America, for example, not South America, but the southern states of America, and they put it up in New York, it's still a bloody long way to go. That's the issue. So they'd have to probably spread all the matches around America, like I say, because America's an extremely big place. But I can understand why. And also there is financial gain for the club because it's such a big target market. So I can see some of the chairmen, not just Levy, so all of the chairmen being like, there's a lot of money to be made. So I can see why they'd want to.
But if that's the case, then right? If this is the case, then fair enough. Okay, let's do it because it's going to make profit. But okay, I want this then. If we're sending our biggest games or some of our biggest rivals over to America to go play a game, I want to go see the Italian Milan derby played in Manchester.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Boris, where are you on this? Yeah. I mean, I'm totally against it. Tequila can see the advantages in it. Where are you on it? Where's your stance on it? And do you agree with Tequila that maybe do a 39th game? Or are we really walking into a Super League if this happens?
Well, we're already pushing like enough matches it is because we've also got to think about like players. We've got not just a regular league in general, we've got cup competitions as well, like the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup. If you're like the top 6 or like top 8 now or even top 9, you get to the chance of you being in the Champions League, Europa League or European Conference League as well. So that's just going to end up increasing the amount of games even more as it is. I understand like where people are coming from and like where Tequila's coming from, where it's in. It's like a financial benefit and stuff like that. But like in that sense, though, if they're going to do that, they're going to have to update the rules of like registration and stuff like that. In my eyes, because you're only allowed to register, what is it, like 25 players as it is, 25 over 21 players of age. So in that sense, why, if you're going to do that, why not just up like the registration size to like 30 players or something like that instead? So we actually get more players in. What can actually then we can actually, if that's what's going to happen, have that in so we can actually send players over to another country or something like that. But I understand where you're coming from, Demo, in the sense that we don't want to send like our biggest matches over there and stuff like that. I understand where Tequila's coming from. Like it's the fact that Americans or Saudi Arabian fans who enjoy the Premier League, as it's known as the best league in the world currently. That's a big if at times, but it's known as that in general. Like other fans, like yes, we get like look at Tottenham for example, perfect example. Look how many South Koreans come over and stuff like that, and we've seen what it's like in Japan's training. You've seen like pictures of Richarlison out there for hours on end time in t-shirts. You've seen like in a training montage
crazy,
put out. Yeah, it's insane. Like the amount of fans in Japan alone as well. It's not just South Korea. We have a huge fan base in. So as well, like if it wasn't just like Saudi Arabia, what about doing like an Asia match, like a match in Asia as well? At that point, you're just going to end up having to pick and choose at that point, and it's just going to end up one team gets a better outcome of it because like you have to remember as well the American pitches do not fit. Look at what's happened with the Copa America. Like that's like how many issues have happened with that. Look at what happened in the final between Colombia and Argentina. Look how many Colombian fans broke in because they didn't have a ticket, on Argentinian fans. Look how long it took them to get it back under control, because it's shown that they don't really put in enough resources into the infrastructure and into the security as it's seen. Because we saw the Copa America final, the biggest thing in South American sport. We saw barely any presence of security in that final, and like compared to like the Euros final, we know it's known how to be done. And like, look, you even like going off track at this point. Look at the Paris Olympics. Look how many police officers from all over the world have gotten to that event. So the Americans know how to do protection at that event. But then, like, there's a big what if? Like, what if something happens and stuff like that? It'll be a big risk for every single club to go there.
Yeah, and rarely, I mean, I can't see FIFA or UEFA okaying this. Then does that then open the door for the Super League? And is it something the Super League will get in? Because it will bring in money for the Super League if they wanted to bring that old chestnut up again.
It's already here. Let's be real. The Super League's already here. It's a new format of Champions League.
Yeah. So is the Premier League fit for purpose? And if they say, okay, guys, let's go over, let's play games in America, let's play games in Bahrain or the Middle East or Saudi Arabia. Let's not worry about the fans. And it's all about money at the end of the day. It's all about how much money can we make.
Of course
and
it is.
And a genuine fan will be left again behind with their hands in their pocket.
You see, the thing is, Dermot, the thing is as well, right? Yeah, if they're going to push on with this, they are taking no consideration into player welfare. Because you got to think, right? Let's, for instance, I'm going to take Tottenham as the example here. Let's say you get later stages into the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, and the European Conference
Europa
League. Europa League, yeah. So you're going to be playing games on a Tuesday night because you've got to fit them in somewhere. You've got the Europa League on a Thursday night. So you're telling me that if you're playing, I don't know, let's say you've got a game against, I'm trying to think, Newcastle Tuesday night. You're traveling from London to Newcastle, and then let's say you're away to Sporting Lisbon on Thursday. You then have to travel to Portugal to go and play that game. And then it just so happens to be that the Saturday or the Sunday game is your game that's been chosen to go play in America. You then have a 9.5 hour flight to get to America as well, which means no training days, which Ange won't be happy with. I don't think any manager will be happy with that. You're not getting no training days. And then obviously if you're playing Sunday, that means you're probably going to play Tuesday again. So you've got a 9.5 hour flight back, which is going to again miss training days. The players are going to be absolutely knackered.
Got to take jet lag.
This is what I'm saying.
And can I put this into the melting pot? This summer, at the end of this current season, we've got the World Club Championships, which is going to be a month-long football tournament, which is the club's versions of the World Cup. So players even now are not going to get the full summer off because every summer there's going to be an international tournament. And also, guys, we're also they've got the Nations League finals this summer as well.
This
So
is
there's
exactly
two-
what I'm saying. They're not taking any. If they do
No.
this, they're clearly showing that they do not care about player welfare at all, which is why it shouldn't be done. Because yes, okay, us as fans can be pissed. You know that, I don't know. For instance, for me, I would be absolutely fuming if Manchester United versus Liverpool, a derby game for me, goes over to America and I can't watch it, because you got to think. In America, it's going to be midnight, 1 in the morning. I understand, obviously, people get up early in the morning. Like, obviously, we got people in the chat. Milton, he probably gets up early in the morning for him because he's in Australia and stuff like that. But it's not something we're accustomed to, And like I said, they're not going to refund tickets to anybody, the prices for that match or anything.
And
it costs money.
Yeah, and I'm not being selfish either, but from a channel point of view, it would throw me completely out of sync if I've got to do what Tottenham watch along, say if I was playing Newcastle at 2 a.m.
Exactly. I mean, obviously tomorrow, I know it's pre-season, but we play Arsenal tomorrow. That's in the States. It's a midnight kickoff for me. I'm not staying up and watching it.
So let me ask you this then. We are going to have a debate about this later on in the season, because I think this is going to start to rear its ugly head again. And I think, and it was a great pick out by Tequila, and this is one of his picks. So great talking board to start with Tequila.
Thank you.
It really did. So one word of question: will it happen? Yes or no, Tequila?
Yeah, maybe not this season, but there's a lot of kinks to work out, and I think that it will be done during one certain weekend. When this weekend is going to be, I don't know, but I think they're going to do it at one certain weekend. And what they might do is have one match in America, one match in South America, and stuff like that. For example, Spurs are probably not at the moment, because of obviously Ange, have got a very large fan base in Australia, and I think the Australian fans would love to see Spurs live in a proper game. But as Com said, which match do you pick out? I don't know. It's going to have to be random. That's what I mean. So I don't know. It's going to have to be randomly chosen.
I don't agree with this at all.
This is the issue. Yeah, they're not going to pick. They're not going to randomly choose matches. They're going to choose matches that are going to bring in the most revenue. I mean, no disrespect to certain teams, but who is really going to want to watch Tottenham Hotspur versus Ipswich? Yeah, exactly.
Or Leicester versus Ipswich at that point.
Exactly.
You're only going to get like the top 6 teams who are actually going to be the main attractions.
This is what I mean. The games that they're going to want are Tottenham Arsenal, Tottenham Chelsea, Man United Liverpool, Man United City, City Tottenham. They're the games that they're going to want, because they know they're going to sell out straight away.
Yeah. So, Boris, yay or nay?
I'd just say possibly at this point, with how well football is going as a whole and stuff like that. Like, going back to the point of the Super League, I see that becoming more and more of a thing in France now, especially because of what's happening in France, in French football.
Yeah.
We see that's about to collapse any moment. Like, yes, they've luckily got name rights, but they don't have the TV rights at all.
No.
Well, look what happened to Bordeaux, Boris.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. You want to know something about that? I had a look up. Barcelona still owed them 9.5 million euros, and they were going in for Dani Olmo as well.
That could have saved them.
Exactly.
I just want to big up a few people in the chat. Big up to the Hotspur Hippie, your number one psychedelic YouTube channel on YouTube. It really is. I mean, watching Hotspur's Hippies, it's like going on one hell of a trip. I mean, it's unreal. I mean, I sit back there, like me and Mrs. Strom watch him, right? And we sit there and it's like we're on a trip watching him. It's brilliant.
That's because of the funky cigarettes you've been smoking.
Yeah,
as well.
and I do love the bit when he does the football talk and all the 1970s thing. I've got to speak to you how you do that, Paul. But big up, Paul. Hope you do well. We'll have to get you on a show before the start of the season. It's been too long, but I hope you're doing all right, sir. Great to see you. So, Colin, yay or nay for you on this?
I hate to say it, but I think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, because there's so many litigations they need to go through. Like, I know that obviously the Sky Sports have the rights to Premier League games, but we're talking a whole different barrel of fish because American TV are going to want to have the rights to any football or soccer or whatever you want to call it game that's being played over there, regardless who's in it.
I won't be surprised if for us they end up going to Amazon Prime, to be honest. Because that's the closest thing.
Yeah, probably. Which is another subscription people have to pay.
Yeah. It's getting ridiculous. It really is.
One more thing can I add, Dermo, very quickly to this, is that you got to think of it also that the Premier League, because of the money, the impetus maybe is slightly less, but what you're going to have is you're going to have leagues like Italy and La Liga all over this stuff because they're much poorer leagues than we are over here. So so it's a gold mine for them to massively exploit, and they need the money much more than the Premiership teams do.
Yeah, if they want to do it, fine. Just leave my league alone. I don't want it messing. I'm sick. I am sick to death of people coming in. These owners coming in and messing with our game. Our game worked perfectly well over the last 200 years. We're not a problem. Okay, the first division, the Premier League has helped upstate its stadiums and that. Yeah, I grant you. Just leave our fucking game alone.
So you don't mind if La Liga or Serie A do it then?
I couldn't give a flying monkeys if the Austrian Premier League did it. I don't want my league being touched. I'm so against this.
Look, the thing is as well, though, the Premier League don't actually need this money. In 2022-2023 season, they made 6.1 billion. In the 2023-2024 season, 6.2 billion. They're expected to make another 6 billion this year. You know, they don't need this money at all. It's just greedy people wanting to capitalize on what's out there. That is literally it. They do not give a flying fuck. And pardon my French, but it's really annoyed me that they're even thinking about doing it. They do not give a flying fuck about me, about Dermo, about Tequila, about any single other person that watches Spurs or any other football team. You know, they don't care. They just want money. They're not asking teams like Havant and Waterloo or Doncaster Rovers or Rotherham United or anybody like that to go over and play their games in America. No, they want the big clubs so they can profit, and that is all it is about. So go fuck yourselves. It's staying in England.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's like Milton here put here. In Australia, he says, I pay 30 a month to watch Spurs, which is a lot of money, by the way. A hell of a lot of money. But yeah, look, for me, I mean, we've got Shirt Spurs one saying it looks like in the future football fans will have to be mega rich or children with mega rich parents.
That leads you on very well to your other question, Demo. I know you want to ask about the working man being priced out.
And it is being priced out.
Yeah, they are.
And then people are going to look to us to bring them the games, channels like ours and columns and the Full-Time Sports Network, THFC Till I Die, and many other football channels for us to bring them the content, the games they need. Because they won't be able to watch it because it's hard enough to watch games now on Sky.
That's because it's 3 p.m. blackout there, man.
No, it's not because of the 3 p.m. blackout, Tequila. It's hard enough because Sky's so freaking expensive. Not a lot of people have money. Not a lot of people. There's people are struggling at the moment.
Yeah, I think Sky Sports alone, without just the Premier League itself, is like £22 to £28 in between that.
Yeah, I got rid of all of it. Yeah, it was too expensive for me.
And the likes of the links and the dodgy boxes and all coming up through the system, but it's bad enough that fans, working fans, the game of the people, this is supposed to be the game of the people. It's the game of the prawn sandwich brigade. This is what it's become. The general fans like myself, Colin, Boris, Tequila, Hippie Hotspur, Carl, everyone in the chat, the general working man. It's not our game anymore. It's the game for the rich. And I'm sick to death of the likes of Arsene Wenger. I want to lead the World Cup every 2 years. Well, if you want to play the World Cup every 2 years...
more South African than French, but I'll let it fly.
Yeah. Go off
Was
and
that,
pay
was that
extra-
meant to be was that meant to be an Arsene Wenger impression?
It was actually very bad. I
Okay.
know that.
Okay. Just check.
Go and play the World Cup every 2 years yourself. You know, it's bad enough that every summer there's going to be a major tournament. The players are not going to get the rest. Has it got to take, right? And I'm using this as an example. Has it got to take a player dying on the fucking pitch for UEFA, FIFA, and all the football organisations to take their head out the sand and say enough is enough? Are the professional footballers federation going to do something about this? Because they're very quiet. They say fuck all about player welfare.
Well, we all thought something would be said after the Ericsson incident, and then there was the incident this year. Was it the Luton captain, or was it the Sheffield United captain who collapsed on the pitch and stuff like that? Nothing's been said about that. Literally, it got like 2 weeks worth of news, and it was literally stopped still after he had a recovery. Nothing's been said about it since.
I just want to quickly jump in and because I'm seeing obviously Michael W is putting some good stuff in the chat. To be fair, and I just want to obviously one of his comments is saying one of his comments is obviously saying that soccer is the world sport. Yes, it is the world sport. It's more this comment here. So far, none of the reasons not to do this are things that can't be overcome. If they can move an NFL team with 53-man roster, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, you play 17 games over 18 weeks. That's one game a week. Whereas over here, like I said, they could be playing Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. That's 3 games a week, to be fair. You know, that's a lot of football, and you've got to add the travel into that and the jet lag and everything. I'm angry about it. Yeah, not this comment. I'm angry about it because I don't think they should be doing it because obviously fan everything. But I'm more concerned about player welfare. Nobody's really had a break. Let's be honest. You know, we've gone from a World Cup into a season, into pre-season, into, you know, Euros, into another season. You know what I mean? There's been no gap for them whatsoever, and they're going to burn out. I mean, like what somebody's just said, I can't remember who that said it. Christian Eriksen, what's it actually got to take? You know, the amount of stress that they put their bodies under, they need some sort of a break.
What about Con? What about I mean, because some of the other leagues, as you know, have that 2-week break at the in December, don't they? So we don't do that over
Germany's
here.
a perfect example of it. They literally set up one friendly within that 2 weeks just to keep a bit of fitness, and that's it. I
would be all for having a winter break in the Premier League and everything.
Kind of long overdue, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, I mean, if they have, like, see, I wouldn't even be that bothered if they were like, right, okay, so we're not going to play any games until after Christmas. So let's say, you know, for 3 weeks they get a nice break, and then the last week of Christmas, because obviously there is a couple of days, they go, right, this is when we decide we're going to go over to America because you've had 3 long weeks of rest. You've had your training. Let's go over to America and play, you know, a bunch of games. You're like, you know, let's have Tottenham Villa over there. Let's have United Newcastle over there. Let's have Chelsea Ipswich over there. You know, pick a couple of games. Go, there you go, lads. You go over to America and play your games. I wouldn't mind so much because, yes, it's one game. I don't really mind one game. It's if they're constantly going over and they've had at least a little bit of a break.
I want to move on. We've got plenty of other subjects to talk about, and this has been we are going to come back to this. There's been some great things in the chat. I just want to bring up a few things as well. Hotspur Hippie says 4 cups is about 500 quid to watch them all on TV for a year. That's a hell of a lot of money. Milton says here, I work 4 jobs 7 days a week to stay afloat in Australia. I have 2 kids in private school. I mean, that's just...
You need to take a break as well, Milton.
You do, before you
end up like me and Dermot.
Yeah, falling apart at the seams. Jason Fusion says, corporation greed onto the world economy collapses. I give it less than a year. Look, it's an interesting conversation this has brought up, the killer. So, and I tell you one thing, we are going to come back to this because there's more angles we can go at this, but we are going to move on. And we're going to start talking about Tottenham's transfers. Now, this has been a massive conversation over the last few weeks to the fan base, right? And really, why are Tottenham taking so long on deals getting done? Colin does work within the football industry, so he's better to start this conversation off because he's more experienced at it than me. He knows the sources we use, and I talk to my source as well. Tequila does as well, and Philip does, and he tells us we know what's going on. I mean, Tequila, how many times has our source told us it's happening, and it does take time. So what are you hang on. It's after this one, Colin. So I'll start with you, Colin. What factors are there contributing to the delay in Tottenham Hotspur securing our new player signings? So can you explain to the listeners to watching tonight and the listeners on Spotify when they listen to this later on Spotify and also on the podcasts? You can find this podcast on after we finish here tonight on YouTube. So explain to people what goes on.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of contributing factors, to be fair. When you speak to quite a few people, you tend to get the same kind of information. Obviously, what gets passed out to us a lot as the fans that are viewing is, while they're negotiating on price. See, now, this tends to be true quite a lot of the time. There's a couple of million difference here or there. But what people don't understand is a lot of the time that isn't actually the case in regards to the two clubs, that are actually discussing it. The clubs have already discussed the price. It's then the signing on fee, the agent fee as well, because obviously he gets a cut, bonuses, how long the contract's going to be for. This, there's so much stuff that needs to be put into a contract as well. So that takes time. Obviously, we've just had the European Championships. Obviously, a lot of players have gone away to go play for their clubs. Whilst they're playing for their clubs, it's very, very difficult to speak to any player in regards to a transfer because they are solely focused on performing well for their country. This becomes a massive, massive issue. This is why we're starting to see now a lot more transfers get done because obviously the European Championships are now over. Obviously, the sooner a team goes out, if you're interested, for instance, if you're interested in João Felix, they went out not too long. Well, I can't remember what quarterfinals they went out in. So from the quarterfinals, they probably would have João Felix would have had a day or two off, and then the negotiations could start. It's very, very difficult to pinpoint what it is. Yes, okay, you can, like I said, you can say it's the fee, but like I said, a lot of the time it's because players are away. Like now, I know, obviously, like you said, we speak to the same people, Dermot. We have the same kind of contacts. I have a little bit more information than what some people do because of obviously what are working. Tottenham are working on deals. The issue that Tottenham are facing now, and I'm not saying that this is going to cause a massive issue because obviously deals can get done. Ange has a very, very good team behind him sorting out the transfer deals, and they're still obviously in London working hard. But the issue is targets are now going on pre-season. So again, it's going to take a little bit longer because they're away. They might not be in Italy. They might not be in Spain. They could be in America, playing with a club in America. So it takes time. Obviously, there's a time difference as well. There's a lot of conversations that need to be had, and this is the issue, and this tends to make things run a little bit slower. But fear not, things are being done.
Yeah, and look, I've been saying this, and Boris, yourself, it will get done. But look, Milton's asked us a question. I will get Tequila's when he comes back. But Boris and Colin and myself, quick question for everyone in the panel. How long have you been Spurs fans, and what made you a Spurs fan? Boris, because you're our special guest tonight, as a Patreon member, you get the first answer. And if, just very quickly, if you want to be like Boris, just get a Patreon membership. Click on the link, become a Patreon Gold member, click on the Discord as well, and you get to come on and you get to be like Boris. Boris, it's great to have you on, but How long have you been a Spurs fan, and what made you become a Tottenham fan?
That's it, really, was the 2018-2019 semi-final against Ajax. That was the point of me when I became a Spurs fan back then, because of the because of the comeback, what seemed impossible to everybody else, but it was just like how quick of a comeback it was. Like from the first half of the second leg, where we showed absolutely nothing and we lost in the first leg as well. It just shows how much determination that the club has when they actually work together. The only downside is that Poch decided to bring Kane on in the final.
Yeah. So how long you've been a fan since 2018, 2019 then?
Yeah.
Is that for an up tequila? Hang on, tequila. I was answering this question, so if we could just give us a minute. How long? Same question to you. How long have you been a Spurs fan, and what made you become a Spurs fan? Milton's asking.
I became a Spurs fan in the mid-90s, mainly due to David Ginola, if I'm going to be honest. My limited family actually took me to see Arsenal versus Charlton because they wanted me to be an Arsenal fan. And the Arsenal versus Charlton game was 0-0, and I fell asleep. That should tell you how well that went for me. And then I just remember seeing Ginola's goal versus Barnsley. I'm sure the Spurs fans know the goal I'm talking about. And it was a bromance. It was my first bromance, guys, right? So I just fell in love with David Ginola as a player. And he was a very handsome man because he was worth it. So that got my eyes on Spurs, and then it was a natural progression from there. Yeah, so unfortunately, I've only seen us win the 2 League Cups, as Dermo knows. But David Ginola got me into Spurs, and the rest was kind of history. So, yeah, I think it was like 96, 97. I could be wrong on my timing exactly, but it was the late 90s.
Now, Milton, don't fall off your chair. Colm is actually not a Spurs fan. Shocker. He's a Man United.
We are trying, though, Dermo, aren't we? We're trying again.
Ain't working. So, same question for you. How long have you been supporting Man United, and what made you become a Man United fan? But also, what made you like watching Tottenham and joining the Tottenham YouTube channel?
Oh, God, these are some loaded questions. Well, I was born into a Manchester United family, to be fair. My nana and my granddad actually got me supporting Manchester United. And my first game was, I can't really remember it because I was 4 years old, was 1996. And we were actually away. And I can't remember. I think we might have played Blackburn or somebody like that. But I just fell in love, my favourite player, although he's done some really, really dodgy things, was Ryan Giggs at the time. He obviously wore the number 11. My birthday is actually the 11th as well, so I kind of grew an instant connection on him. So, yeah, I've been supporting Man United since I can remember, 1996 is, like I said, my first time going. But I've got photos of, me being 14, 15 months old in full Manchester United kit. And it was all down to my nana and granddad, because, God bless my granddad's soul. He was a massive, massive diehard Manchester United fan.
Yeah. And as for me, Milton, I've been a Spurs fan since 1979. Because I was born in 77, so I've been a Spurs fan really since the day I was born.
Yeah.
Remember going to games early. My favourite player of all time is Glenn Hoddle, Steve Perriman, people like that. But yeah, I've seen the highest of highs and I've seen the lowest of lows. So I've seen it all, up, down, left, right, whichever way you shape the tree. I've seen it.
Yeah, and just to answer your question as well of when that's thinking, I actually started taking a lot more interest in Spurs when Harry Redknapp was your manager. I watched a lot of games when Harry Redknapp was your manager because I just liked the way that he set up his teams. I'm a very tactical analysis kind of person. I like watching what happens. And I've got a cousin who's a Spurs fan, so I watch games with him as well. But yeah, I've always kind of like had an eye on what Spurs do for quite a few years, to be fair.
And
Well,
your United captain Roy Keane was a Spurs fan as well.
Yep.
Did
he
that help?
is, yeah.
And you had one of my fellow school compadres as well playing for you at one point.
David
So
Beckham.
no,
Graham
my,
Souness used to play for
who
us
I
as
went
well.
to school with, who I went to school with, that's what I'm on about.
Who was that?
All
Who
right.
was that? Com? Who was that?
Danny Rose.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I remember you
Danny
telling me
Rose.
that. Graham Souness, the great Liverpool captain, was our player back in the youth days. So big up
I've played the game. I've played the game.
I've played
Big
the
up,
game.
Milton. I hope you enjoyed them answers, and thank you for bringing the question in. We've got DJ Samra. We're so close to 1,900 subscribers. I know we are. We can feel it. I can see 2K coming up there, but big up DJ. We've got Milton. It says, quick question to the panel. Besides Spurs, do you have a soft spot for another team? Tequila, who's your soft spot?
Not so much in England. I've got a soft spot for some of the other teams. Like I've got a soft spot for Villarreal. We talk about this a little bit, don't I? Villarreal, and I like Dortmund in Germany. So in England, not so much. If I were to support my local, it would be like Bedford Town. But when I was younger, I lived kind of quite near Barnet, so I had a little. I suppose I had a little bit of soft spot for Barnet when they were in the old Division, the old Division 4, like Division 2 now, League 2 now.
Yeah.
But obviously they're out the football league at the minute. They're in non-league. But yeah. So, but I suppose to answer your question, I suppose Barnet in England. I suppose Barnet. Do you remember Underhill where it wasn't actually a flat pitch? It wasn't actually a flat pitch.
It went one way or the other. Boris, do you have a soft spot for another team?
I'd say in England, there's one that always caught my interest, really, and it was Hull City. Because they've been in the Europa League themselves. They got to an FA Cup final, unfortunately lost to Arsenal. Back, I think it was 2014-15 final. I can't remember the exact year it was, but they got all the way to the final and almost beat Arsenal. But unfortunately, those certain ones from the other part of North London like to ruin stuff for everybody. But I'd say out of England, I'd probably say Udinese from the Serie.
Oh, very interesting. Colin, who's your soft spot?
Oh, obviously, I watch quite a lot of football. I've got certain teams around the world, but I'm just going to stick to obviously England, and it is my local team, which is going to be a delight. Yeah, it's going to be a delight to Jamie, who's a Sheffield United fan. But yeah, Doncaster Rovers, because it is my local team. So,
myself, I'm a massive Celtic fan, so that's my other team as well.
That's like watching conference football.
That you be quiet. You leave Celtic alone. Hotspur Hippie says transfers used to be a brown paper bag and a little red chef on the M1. Innocent days. I know. Innocent days. But listen, we've got a few similar there. I've got a soft spot for Newport County. We've got here Hotspur Hippie, Celtic, Gladsville, and Riot Magic FC and Blah Men Women. Fair enough. And DJ says, and my Irish team, Wexford. I know, the best county in Ireland. There's nobody.
But it's not.
It is.
But it's not. Cork is the best county in Ireland, mate.
No, it's not. Look,
yes, it is.
You may have your rebels, but we have special strawberries. You know what I'm talking about as well. Big up to Jamie. Up, pal. How you doing? Not too bad. Guys, give us 2 minutes. Have to pop off. We're going to leave you this question. I'm going to start with you, Colin, and then go up, then Boris, and then Tequila. What role do players, agents, and intermediaries play in the piece of Tottenham's transfer dealings? And for Boris and Tequila, what one player do you really want Tottenham to get in? So, Colin, if you start off, and I just need to pop off for 3 minutes, and I will be back.
Well, that's fair. I get a university question. You get GCSE level. I mean, yeah, the agents and everything, of course, and intermediaries, they play a massive effect. Because like I said, before, I think I covered it a little bit earlier. You got to pay agent fees, and if you've got a third party in to try and deal with as well, they're going to want fees. and they're going back and forth as well. But however, you've got to be very, very careful with what you say. Even I've got to be very careful with what I say, to be fair. Certain companies, I'm not going to mention any of the actual agencies or anything like that. Certain ones will and do sometimes twist the narrative to fit their agenda. Doesn't tend to happen a lot with players in the English league. I'm also a Donny fan, Jamie.
I brought that up just for you.
Yeah. I'm a Donny fan, Jamie, as well. I do go to a few games when I can. But yeah, it doesn't really tend to happen a lot in England. It is heavy in other countries. Again, you can probably deduce which countries I'm on about, so I won't say which country. But yeah, it can really affect it massively. It all just depends on who it is you're actually dealing with,
Can I ask you a question, Con?
Yeah.
Since you are involved a little bit in it, are all the agents as transparently evil with a cackling laugh, or is it an overstatement? Like, there is some decent ones out there too, or are they all just money grabbing? I want my 10% or whatever it is. I don't care about the player at all. Just go to the place, give him money. Or is there some of them who actually do give a shit, for lack of a better, about their clients? Or is it just like, no, we just want our 10%. We just want a slice of flesh. Or is there some that are decent?
All right, I'll be 100% truthful with you here. I might actually get into a bit of trouble, but I'll be 100% truthful with you. Over the recent years, we have seen an increase of agents that do not give a flying fuck about their clients at all. They just want their money, and they're happy to smack an extra 20 million on top of the price of a player, and stuff like that. There are some very, very, very nice agents out there that do actually care about their client's best interest. I know for a fact, 'cause I'm trying to think who it is now. Eric Lamella, his obviously consortium, as they like to be called sometimes, actually cared about his career, and they try and do what the best thing for him. Marcus Rashford's agent and consortium, they actually care about his image. I know they're making money from it, but they actually do care about the player and stuff like that. But then you do have other agents, such as the famous one that affected you guys last season with your star striker, who was trying to get the most money he possibly could and putting it out to every single club there that Harry Kane was available. You have got people like that, and it's just unfortunate that some people care more about money than the well-being of their own clients. But yeah,
well, we've got another one like that, a certain Romanian agent. I shall not be naming names, but you can deduce from the country, from what you've been hearing online a lot. If you're a Spurs fan and you look around the internet, you know what that certain agent likes to say.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I mean. You can very quickly deduce, because agents aren't shy. They will come out and speak their mind, and you can very quickly deduce what that kind of agent is, whether he cares about his player or his money. Now, thankfully, we are seeing stricter measures coming in place, I think, at the end of this season into next season, where clients have to be looked after a lot more and obviously more professional. So hopefully we're going to see this whole money grabbing agent era die out. It's going to take time, obviously, but hopefully it's going to happen.
Colm, a question to you, because you know about the agents. Does that also include like the family sort of agents? So like a certain Spurs striker, a certain striker now at Real Madrid, those sort of, and a certain right back at PSG, are both sort of agents going to start getting snuffed out unless they have a license?
Yeah, so what's going to happen is anybody who, what they're trying to do, this probably will take a little bit longer to go into place because obviously there's already contracts written up. So it's going to be a legal matter. What is going to happen is if they're wanting to continue, I think they're aiming for, 2028 they're aiming for this one, to be fair. They will have to be officially licensed as a footballing agent. Otherwise they won't be able to represent anymore.
If I can put you on the spot then, Com, or at least as close as I can, how many out of 10 are decent? Just a number. Because
Free.
Okay, so it is the majority of them are actually in
So
it for
it's a
themselves.
70-30 split,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
70-30 split, unfortunately, yeah. Which they are trying to stamp out, and they are working hard at stamping it out. It just takes time because obviously there's loads of legal litigation and everything to go through.
This leads me on to a little bit more of a question then. So is it the players who should do a better job of choosing their agents? Should they do their own personal due diligence? Or is it that they're just lambasted with, like, as soon as they become 18 or 19 and as soon as they've got that, like, potential or whatever, are they just lambasted with 30 agents ringing them up every day saying, I'll be your agent, I'll be your agent? Or do you think they should do their own due diligence, say, hold on. These guys have got a bad rep or these guys have got a good rep? What do you think?
Unfortunately, obviously, I never made it pro, unfortunately. So I never actually got those phone calls. But obviously, like I said, I do know people that do have those phone calls. For instance, I'm sure he won't mind me telling you, I'm not going to say his name, obviously, for personal reasons for him.
96% chance literally around the corner.
When I have spoken to a certain somebody before, he turned around and said as soon as he was able to sign a professional contract, he was inundated with phone calls from agencies and stuff like that. A lot of people tend to keep the family, until they get to a certain age, and then the family will then negotiate with the obviously representatives that are wanting to take on basically their child as a client.
So you think the parents should get more involved then? Do you think at that age the parents should get more involved?
I think they need to, or if they don't, then they need to have some sort of a legal representative. So, for instance, because I know obviously people sign contracts already and everything like that, because they're playing at academy levels and stuff like that. So, for instance, I'll use me as a case for this, even a delusional case because it didn't happen, unfortunately. But when I was in the academy, if I had managed to actually get a little bit better and progressed, I probably would have liked a representative from the academy, like not probably the manager or like actually he's obviously busy, but somebody within the club to sit beside me and make sure I'm not being pressured into doing something and stuff like that. I think it needs to be better
a safeguard kind of thing.
Safeguarding. 100%, especially for young players. Safeguarding is a massive issue at the minute, all around the world, and I think it needs to be resolved a little bit more.
I think a lot of younger players are being mistreated and are being misled as well, financially as well as what they're being advised. I mean, Jermaine Defoe's man was his agent for a long while.
But this is
he ended up with Sky Andrew, didn't he?
He did, and for me, I'm glad there's going to be a cap on agents' fees because I think agents are ruining the transfer market. Really are.
See, what I'm hoping eventually we'll get to is obviously these clubs are paying stupid money for these players. I'm hoping eventually it'll get down to just being, right, you've signed for, I don't know, Ivan Toney, you've signed for Tottenham Hotspur. And then in 3-4 years' time, you might want to sell him. And then it'll just be down to the two clubs. There won't be agent fees at all because, the agent is only there to make sure his client is getting the best out of his current club. So hopefully there'll be no agent fees in the future. But again, we'll have to wait and see what happens because there's so much legal litigation to actually go through. It's really ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Sorry I wasn't a part of it. I had to come off, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for Colin for stepping in and Aquino and Boris. The last topic we're going to talk about tonight, guys, on this podcast is about Ange and about the way he's transferred Tottenham from a team we were playing on the Mourinho, Conte, Nuno to how we're playing now. Now, Tequila said to me earlier he was watching a YouTube channel and some fans, older fans like from my generation, or even in Philip's generation, saying,
they're older than you do.
The best football they've seen was when Poch was in charge. I disagree.
Not winning football. I want to add this caveat: not winning football, just the most attractive football. Not winning.
I think the most attractive football we've seen has been under Ange. Last season, some of the football was fantastic, and I think it's going to be a winning formula as well. So I'm going to start with you, Boris. The biggest change in Spurs, I've seen since Ange joined is the mentality. It's the way that the players all stand up for one another. It's the way that they are willing to lay their body on the line for their teammates, which we didn't get under other managers, which we didn't get definitely under Mourinho or Conte, where some players would play and other players would go missing. Noticeably, Eric Dyer, Sanchez, Ben Davis, and all the usual suspects. So I think for me, it's mentality and togetherness. What has been the biggest change you've seen in Spurs since Ange took over?
In general, I'd just say, as you said, in general, just the mentality of the players. Well, not even just that, like the transfers as well. Like we know what he wants, and so like going to the previous point of like what signing I'd like to see. I'd like to see Chiesa or over somebody like Neto or Eze. That's one I'd like to see. But overall, back to the main point at hand, I'd like the way he plays football as well. Yes, compared to like the last, besides basically with me only being like a Spurs fan since like 2018-19, I've only seen like the horrible parts of it. I never really got to see like the great parts of almost winning the league twice in a row. But unfortunately, we lost to Chelsea and to Leicester. But that's the thing. The point is we've changed the mentality in general. Like we've seen what's happened previously under previous managers, like as you said, the mentality, especially if we look back at the Amazon documentary Spurs or Nothing, we saw like Sonny fighting with Hugo, Dele fighting with Dyer and stuff like that. We saw them lot getting at each other's throats each single time, and then we saw like Jose being sneaky in like private meetings with Dyer, since he's the only one that can actually speak Portuguese. Well, one of the ones who can only speak Portuguese on the team, so he could actually speak to him in a language what Jose could understand, and then it basically allowed Dyer to, let's be honest, if the cameras weren't rolling, properly slag off the teammates what he wanted to slag off. So in the end of the day, it's good that he's finally gotten rid of that like toxic mentality in the club, and like perfect example of like what could possibly become a great thing would be Jed Spence. Because like as I've said previously, we've seen like what's happened with him now, because he looks like a completely different player from the player we bought from Middlesbrough. Like his mentality changes. Like we've seen, like he doesn't have like the same sort of ego. He still has a bit of ego, but like that's what you want with every single player. If you want them to play at the top levels, they need to have a bit of ego, but not as much as they did, not as self-absorbed. Because we saw like on stuff like Instagram, like we saw him and Udogie playing together in like in Udogie's garden and stuff like that, playing just regular football and stuff like that. It just shows like the teams found ways to come together more. Like we've seen like more friend groups being formed, like Mickey and Maddison, Brennan and Sonny, Kulu and Bergval, stuff like that. Archie Gray and Porro. We see those sort of friend groups forming now because of it.
You're muted, mate.
Muted, Durbo.
Unprofessional.
If I had hands, I'd wave.
I know. Colin, I sent you a WhatsApp. Can you just send it on to our source if you can, so you can double check that? I mean, look, I think the improvements also, we should looking at the defensive side and the attacking side. You look at Chelsea. I know we lost that game 4-2, but I keep going back to it because even down to 9 men, we could have won that game. And if that was under Mourinho or Conte, I think we would have conceded goals more earlier than we did against Chelsea. And I think Ange has brought in a belief that's never say die attitude, that we are better than what we think we are. So Tequila, I'm going to talk to you about the attacking side of Tottenham. We haven't replaced Harry Kane.
I'm going to get in trouble, aren't I? Because I don't think you're going to like what I'm going to say. I'm going to get in trouble,
right?
Aren't I?
But with the attacking people we have, who do you think is going to have the biggest? Who do you think Ange will have the biggest influence over to turn them into a better player? Is there one player in that attacking line that you think? Is it going to be Johnson? Is it going to be Richarlison? I think Richarlison's going to be sold anyway. But you look at Johnson, you look at Werner. If we got a top striker, do you think Ange can work magic with the front three? with a Johnson or a Werner or a Bergville in behind. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so I'm still going to give Johnson a pass because he's only had one season and he is still pretty young. Now, for the record, he's not super young. We're not talking about a player who's under 21. He's not super young, but he's still on the young side. So I'm gonna give him another year. I think Timo Werner is an average signing at best. He should not be starting for Spurs. And you know my feelings with Richarlison. So I'm not impressed with our forward line, Dermo. And I'm begging we get in a top quality striker.
And we are, you know we are.
Then I can answer that question differently when it happens. But as of right now, I don't like our forward line. Obviously, Sonny's proven, but I've got to be honest.
He's not a striker, is he?
No.
Sonny's not a striker.
He's on. No Spurs fans want to admit it, but he's on a decline. That doesn't mean he's garbage overnight, but he is slowly on the decline. He is. It happens to every player, even the greatest ones.
So you saying that then, Tequila, does that why we bought this young South Korean wonder kid? He's been brought in to replace Sonny when Sonny retires, to keep that South Korean market open to Spurs then, basically.
I would never put that much pressure on a young lad because I haven't seen him, so I honestly can't.
Well, no, the point I'm making is that if you look at the player, he may or may not be a great player. At the moment, Sonny recommended him, and with Ange, who knows what he can turn into. But if you're looking at it from a financial point of view, that South Korean market has been very lucrative for Tottenham. So to keep that market open, I think they would have had to look to the future, and maybe this is what they've done. So, as well as trying to bring in a player to replace Sonny one day, which Sonny will retire, we don't want to admit it, but he will retire someday.
Of course, he will, and we know that. We know. Let's be honest. We know that his best days are behind him. That doesn't mean you throw him out in the trash.
No,
but his best days are probably behind him.
So a question to the panel then on the Sonny thing. Do you start using Sonny in the next couple of years? I mean, I'll start with you, Tequila, and then go to Boris and then Colin. So Tequila, do you start using Sonny as a player coach, say in a couple of years' time?
I don't know if you use him as a player coach because not every player obviously has that ability to be a coach. But you certainly use him more as a mentor, especially for this young kid we've just brought in. There's no doubt in my mind that Ange probably said to him, okay, mate, you've brought this dude in. You recommended him. He's probably going to help him settle in London. He's probably going to help him find a place to live. He's probably going to help him climatize because it is quite a big culture shift coming from South Korea to Europe and London. It's going to be a big culture shift for the young lad. So Ange probably says to him, okay, you're going to be a mentor figure for the next couple of years probably, and hopefully this guy can pull it off. But in general, I mean, I do think that Sonny's going to be playing less and less as the years go by. He might not even sign another contract, or he might end up being one of those players who we sign on like a 12-month rolling contract every year. We give him another 12 months and then another 12 months until eventually he says, okay, this is my last season. I don't think Sonny will probably play for another football team. I think Sonny will probably end his career at Spurs.
He might end his career in South Korea. Boris, where are you on this? Do you agree with Tequila what he's saying, or are you?
Carl's being very rude to me in the chat. Mods, can you please remove Carl Simpson?
Yeah. So, Boris, do you agree with Tequila, or do you look at it in a different way from what he's saying?
I'd say I agree with you both, but I'd also say it's not just to help the South Korean market if that's just taken away from the potential ability of this kid and like every other like South Korean football and stuff like that, because I understand where you're coming from because Sonny's a great, amazing player, but at the same time, we don't say he's a beg about a way to keep in the Swedish market. We don't say that. I understand where you're coming from though, in the sense like he's an amazing, it does help with keeping that market, but we can't just say it's just to keep in that market because we've seen what that sort of, if we say that sort of stuff, it's just going to end up making the kid feel like he's not welcome in the fan base, that he's only there for pictures and money and stuff like that from the extras, like an extra, let's say an extra 100 million a year from the South Korean markets, we want him to actually feel welcome in the club and stuff like that. We want him to become like part of our club. We want him to become the next Sonny. But hell, you never know if Son's actually backing him at his potential. I feel like he could probably even surpass Son if he really wanted to attempt that. Because like if he's got Son's had his dad training him and stuff like that. But as you said, like I see Son more like because I see Son like slowly stopping getting playing time over time. So then I see him then becoming like I see Son slowly stop doing that and then slowly becoming an ambassador like Ledley King is and stuff like that. I don't see Son becoming like a coach for us, but I see him more becoming like an ambassador role for us, like at times like where Parks and G's an ambassador at times for Man United. I see Son becoming like a more permanent.
Yeah, that's a good shout, Boris.
Like how Ledley King is, because like Ledley King, he's one of Spurs' ever best defenders in the entire time. I never even got to see him play, and I still know about the fact that
he was great. He was great.
Yeah,
Boris,
exactly. As you guys, I'm going to trust you guys on that. And I've seen compilations of his defending. Like if we had like Ledley King currently, I think we probably have one of the best backlines in the entire Premier League at that point, because Ledley King was able to defend and he was able to keep a composure. Something unfortunately what Ramirez kind of loses at times. But I'd say in general, I'd say Son slowly starts coming more away from the playing role and starts coming on like as a super sub or something like that. Like in the next few years, like coming on as a sub to actually help us create a chance or something like that, just helping us get like an extra goal if we need. Like say if we're playing like the Champions League quarter final against, let's say, AS Monaco or something like that, and we need one more goal to win the match. If we just do that, because like say we're 4-4 in total and it's like the final leg, and if we get an extra goal, it'll become 5-4 and we'll end up winning because of the new format with aggregate goals no one counting. If we can get Son could end up creating that sort of chance to end up then sending us into a semi-finals, I'd see Son becoming more of a super sub in that sense, whereas the South Korean, the guy I was talking about was what we're signing now, I'd see him becoming more of that replacement for him as well, because like everybody's seeing, like I personally see it happening, but Lancashire, the new South Korean youngster we're getting, and Mikey, seeing them become our next generation of Bale, Son, and Kane. Those guys with their potentials, the sky's the limit with all three of them.
Yeah. Look, can you bring up David Clark's comment again?
Which one, Dermo? The first one.
The first one. Look, he says Johnson's 47 million, but Chilean 50 million. Look, give Johnson a chance. He's only a kid. He's only 22, 23 years of age. He's only had one season at a top club. So all this hate for Johnson, I think, is a bit unfair. He's going to take time. He is going to be a great player. And also, I would agree with you with Richarlison. I think 50 million was too much for him. But do you know what? I think Johnson gets too much heat. He's only a young lad. And everyone's always attacking him. Give the lad a break.
It's because when money gets spent, like £50 million gets spent, I think people have the unrealistic what's the word I'm looking for?
Unrealistic.
Yeah, expectation. That's the one.
Yeah.
Unrealistic expectation that they're just going to be absolutely amazing straight away. Obviously, you have to remember there is a bedding in period. You know, the expectations that are expected of himself have changed. You know, he's gone from a club where his expectations were finishing outside of the relegation zone. He's now gone to a club where his expectations are to finish, you know, top 6, top 4, you know, challenge for trophies. It's a massive, massive change. And I just want to comment as well about your Son thing. Son has actually already come out and said that he will retire after. He's not planning on staying in football.
Yeah.
So
we've got a little bit more breaking news. It's understand that Brian Hill has got his heart set on the move to Girona in Italy. Personal terms have been agreed. Players' camp's been informed. Tottenham that Brian wants to join Girona at all costs. Talks between clubs over a deal formula. Talks are still ongoing. So that is the very latest on Brian Hill. Guys, thank you so much for watching. That was the Cockerel Clock podcast with myself, Dermot, aka Dermatron. Tequila, where can people find you, sir?
You can find me on this great channel with you great lads, THFC Till I Die, and you can find me on the Play Pouch, which is a little gaming channel that I've got where we just talk about the video games industry. This week's show was on Sony versus Xbox and both their game passes and which one is best, because Xbox have put their prices up cheekily. Thanks again for having me, Dermo.
No problem. Boris, you've been absolutely brilliant. You smashed it out the park, making your debut on the channel. Absolutely did. Do you want to plug anywhere? Where can people find you?
Just in general, here and probably in the future will be the European channel of this, because I've offered my services to help with La Liga, Serie A, and the Bundesliga as well. So, and Champions League football, anything like that, I've offered to help my services here, and so I'll be here a lot more, and you'll see me in the chat usually as you do. So I'll be here if you need me.
Yeah, no, Boris.
Cheers,
great.
Boris.
It's going to be fantastic, your help over in the other channel. It really will. And of course, Colin as well. Where can people find you, sir?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Just want to say absolutely fantastic conversations tonight. Loved every bit of it. Massive well done to Boris as well for making his YouTube debut on us on the channel. I'm looking forward to actually, having conversations with him again, because he's very insightful, just like the rest of you guys. I enjoy good conversations like that. But where can you find me? You can find me here from time to time. I do pop in and show my face. I don't just come in to wind people up. I do have a little bit of
I've just got
football
a bit more news now, just for you. What's just come in the last 10 minutes? It has been confirmed that Ryan Sessegnon has fully rejoined Fulham following his contract expiration with us.
There you go. You heard it here first and fastest.
Them Fulham's medical team will have something to do now. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will. But yeah, like I said, you can find me here from time to time. You'll find me on the Full Time Sports Network as well, which is my basically hub where I tend to work 9% of the time. X, MUFC Spotlight, which is my Manchester United channel, which I've been completely neglecting. I'm not going to lie. I've done nothing on there for months. There's two of us, and he hasn't done anything on there for months, to be fair. You know who you are, Mr. Irishman. And obviously, you can find me and Dermo.
Too much pro clubs, Con. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is exactly too much pro clubs. Yeah. And that leads me into the last channel. You can find, obviously, a lot of gaming content and podcasts and stuff on the gaming channel that I help run with Dermo, and you see Tequila and everybody on there as well, called Double Dum Gaming. So make sure to check that out, guys. And subscribe to this channel. Get them up to 2K. Come on.
Thank you so much. And listen, I couldn't do this channel without the likes of Colin, Tequila, Philip Brady as well, who's away on these holidays. And I really couldn't do this without these guys. These guys are the backbone of the channel. I really are, and I couldn't do it without them. So a massive thank you. And Boris, welcome to the family. Going to look forward to working with you in this season on the other channel and on here as well. Do pick up your patrons. Do log into the Discord where we can all talk Spurs. Is where we're going to set up the new fan group. So do link into Discord. If I'm not there, I'm sure Colin or Tequila will interact with everyone.
Yeah,
I am absolutely useless when it comes to social media.
I pretty much live on Discord. So if you do join Discord, if you've got any questions, I will get back to you as quickly as I can.
But we'll do try. This is going up on Spotify tonight, so be up on all your wherever you watch your podcasts. It will be up there. Thank you, Tequila. Thank you, Boris, and thank you, Colin, as well. And I want to leave everyone with this little nugget of inspiration. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling a bit fed up with the world, if you're feeling a bit that things are on your mind and things are heavy on your mind, just look across the world and think of how a Chelsea and a West Ham fan feel. Waking up every day, looking at the circus that is called their club. So just be grateful that we have the best team in the land, the best team in the world. We are the mighty Tottenham Hotspur. We will rise, we will grow, and we're going to win. Come on, you Spurs. In Big Ange, we trust.
Quiz.